Hey guys, Sandy here, and I am back with my Secret Not Secret kit for the month of May, and it is based on Pink Paisley's Auburn Lane collection. I have already created this background using some shimmers that I had received in kits. One came this month, one came a previous month, and I just kind of watercolored it and splotched and blotted. I wasn't exactly sure what I was doing. I was just trying out to see what I could do with the two colors, mixing them together, and it turns out that I like the background, so I'm going to use it. Let's see what I can do. So the very first thing I'm going to do is mess with these sequins. Now, I discovered that I really like sequins when I was at the scrapbooking retreat hosted by Heather from Heather's Crafty Life. I had done a cut file and just backed it with sequins and really fell in love with them. So for this one, I wanted to just use all the sequins that came in the embellishment pack. And they're a cool mix of like gold and pink and rose gold, and they're just really pretty together. And I really liked how it looked underneath of this wood frame. So I thought about fusing something together, but then I remembered I had these really small, basically jewelry baggies, and I thought, you know what? I think this is a similar size to the frame. And sure enough, it was a similar size to the frame. So there is enough sequins in this baggie where I don't think that they're going to drop down a whole lot. And they really don't. There's not a lot of space in the baggie left. I've pushed out all the air, so it's just this beautiful frame of sequins. And I can't stop playing with it because I just like the way it looks so much. It's just so awesome to me. Now, I had these two photos. One's of my husband doing something funky, and one is of my son who is just looking inside the tree hole, and I'm not exactly sure what either of them are doing other than being a little bit goofy, and that's quite all right. Goofy is good. Now, before I am even figuring out any other kind of paper that I'm going to bring into this layout, I'm just messing around with this huge kit from the Secret Not Secret Kit Club. It is hugely based on Pink Paisley's Auburn Lane, and it is a beautiful collection. The florals are gorgeous. The colors are gorgeous. It's just a pretty collection, and I'm trying to figure out like where things are gonna go, how much of these florals I'm gonna bring in. I really like the shimmers that I used in the background. It kind of just gives it a good base for this pink, and I'm just trying to figure out to make it pretty. You know what I mean? It's sometimes when you have a lot of pretty scrapbooking supplies, you want to do them justice. Like you want them to look as pretty on your layout as they do in their nice, neat packaging. And sometimes it takes a minute to figure out where that pretty lies, and that's totally okay. You know, I like to think of myself as a pretty committed scrapbooker. I might like move something around a little bit on the page, but once I like something, I like it and I put it down. But sometimes, just every so often, it just takes a minute to figure out where you want your pretty. Now, and I think the problem is that, not that this is a problem, but you know, the problem is I have never had so much of one collection at one time to play with. I think this is just about everything in the collection, and not that it's overwhelming, but there's just so much of it to peek through and like put it together and make it look fun. Anyway, that was probably a poor excuse about what is going on through my head, but that is what is going on through my head. There's a lot of stuff to choose and a lot of options, and so much of it is beautiful, and so much of it is just, I want it on my pages. I want it in my layouts. So what I decided to do with this paper now, and see, here's the problem too. There's so much of it on my desk, I can't even find my paper trimmer. But I eventually find it, and I am going to trim off just a little bit on each of these sides here so that I can mat it on this fern paper. And this is from Chasing Dreams. But what I am doing is I'm gutting this, and this right here is the reason why I can't ever get one of those guillotine trimmers or like a caterpillar crop, because I do this a lot with my pages. I make cuts on the inside of my pages, and Fisker's trimmer just makes it work like super, super easy. So here I am. I've gutted the paper here, and it's not because I want to save it for a later layout. I'm actually going to use that paper to map my photos. Now, I felt like this white background was kind of stark against the pattern paper. So I went and I pulled out my distress inks, and I got Evergreen Bough, and I just went ahead and edged the edges. I inked the edges. I didn't edge the edges. Ugh. Anyway, so I did that, and that was just because I felt like that white was just like banging, popping against this little bit of a background here. So now I just had to figure out which way I wanted it to face, like how I wanted the splotchiness direction to go. And that's the direction I chose. So here I'm just pressing all of the adhesive down, and I'm going to be using washi tape. And I do this on all my layouts. Anything that is not smooth on the back, whether it's brad poking out or staples or paper pieced together like this, I always washi tape the back. And that's just so it gives it a smooth surface back there. So while I'm putting in the layouts, or if I'm rearranging them, or if somebody for some reason pulls one out to get a closer look, nothing's going to snag on the back there, and it's just going to give it a little smooth bit to slide in and out of the page protector. So here is where I decided to mat these photos on that same background paper. Now, interestingly enough, I chose not to ink the edges of this one. I think I might have forgotten, because usually if I ink edges, I go for it and I ink edges. But for some reason, I'm not exactly sure why, couldn't even begin to tell you, I went ahead and did not ink the edges. And there is my beautiful little sequin pocket, and I've realized that I needed to move my photos just a little bit, just so I could get some spacing correct. And I'm happy with how that is. And as you can see, I couldn't resist running my fingers over the sequins again, just because it's so much fun. Now I decided to have the color, the pink, on the bottom, and then I'm just using my ATG to put these floral die cuts just to kind of soften that sequin packet. Because guys, that is a lot of sequins, and it's just boom, like bam, in your face there, kind of like my head is. Now, the reason why my head was over that was because I had cut that die cut in half, and I wanted to get it positioned just right so I wouldn't have any gaps from it. And then I've got my florals there. I'm really liking how this looks, and I'm trying to decide where I want this third pop of this hunter green. Oh, it's almost a hunter green. And at first I was going to do something up at the top, but I decided that I really wanted to focus my layout on the bottom 2/3 instead of adding anything up at the top for balance. What I'm just going to do is make sure that there is plenty around the layout. Now this is a rub-on, and this rub-on is really beautiful. And I'm using my very old Creative Memories tool. I can't even remember what this sucker is called. I think it's called multi-purpose tool or something like that. Really something that I should have no trouble at all remembering, but you know, it happens. Now this right here is a huge washi tape. And when I had originally started the background for this layout, I knew I wanted to use this washi tape on it. And I was thinking about doing something like big and bold and mixed media and texture paste and stencils and just making a really intricate background. And that didn't happen with this one because I ended up liking this pink base so much. But it is going to be something that I do in the future. I want to make something pretty wild in the background. Now, if I would have had the forethought to put this washi tape down first, then I could have put my rub-on on top of it, but I did not think that quickly. It just didn't, you know, I didn't think about it. So, whatever. I made it work. I cut the washi around, and you know, I'm happy with it. So I needed to add something right here to bridge that little gap where the rub-on and the die cut meet up. So I decided to use a little puffy sticker. And that one didn't make it back. I will bring one more puffy sticker out and for the title. Here I'm trying to figure out if I want to use some metallics instead of just the regular old leaves. And sure enough, I'm like, yeah, let's throw that metallic in there. And it's just a matter of figuring out where it's going to go. And since I felt like it was way too large, I just cut that sucker in half and then have little pieces peeking out on either side of the little floral die cut. And there's me playing with those sequins again. I just like them. I could probably get a bag of sequins like this and just keep it out on my desk and just play with it, and it would make me happy. Like, seriously make me happy. Just like when I made my own enamel dots with perler beads. Oh goodness, it's probably been 3 or 4 years ago now. I still have a little small tin of them. I still love to put my fingers in there and just play with them. It's a total texture thing. I definitely have some sort of textury business nonsense type thing. I can't even explain what it is to you. I love touching stuff. If I'm in a store, I'm very tactile. If I'm in a store, I touch it. If I'm, you know, see something I like, I touch it. It's very hard to go to museums and that kind of thing when you're not allowed to touch things. It's definitely helpful when things are, you know, in their glass cases and their boxes and stuff like that. But I just want to touch it. Like, I want to feel it. I want to see if it's smooth, like what it feels like what is it. I just really like that. Okay, now I was going to use this hexagon with the ampersand on it near gather because I was going to make a 2-word title, something and gather, but it just wasn't working. The little thicker letter stickers just didn't go for me, so I had to cut that out. But I am finding little stickers and just sprinkling them about. I also added a floral sticker behind that big die cut over there just because, my phone started to ring, but then it stopped. So I did add that sticker. Sorry guys, I got distracted. Big shock there. I added that sticker behind the die cut if I can ever get that thought out, because it does, even though it's the same kind of florals, they do have different saturations of color and a little bit of different texture. The sticker's shiny, the die cut is matte, so it does give it that way. Now here I am adding some little pearls that I had bought at, I want to say Hobby Lobby. And they are meant to be like one big line. They're all stuck together as one big line, but I cut them out individually to use them. It's kind of sprinkling them about as enamel dots. And now I'm just like picking out the last little things, making sure everything looks good. That is like one quick and weird thing. Shook the sequins for you because that's always fun. So guys, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Here's a couple still photos. Oh, just look at those sequins. They're just so much fun. I love them so much. And I will catch you guys next time. Have a great week.